In the budget, the Chancellor announced 20 billion of investment into the economy. Is 20 billion enough? Because, to me, it isn't.
Yeah.
Okay? That's not giving the confidence to innovation companies like ourselves and reading on the right energy mix. That's not doing that.
Yeah.
Okay? So therefore, you've got to use technologies that exist today. And you've got to use the resources you have today. And the major resource is gas.
Yes.
Yeah? If you can use gas, but you can use it responsibly, and you can capture all of the carbon from that gas, then that's not a bad thing. You can use today's technologies, including technologies that we at 8 Rivers have invented, to actually give security of supply to the country. And that is going to cost money. But I personally don't think that 20 billion is enough. Supply chain and global supply chain is a massive, massive challenge. But when you have the Inflation Reduction Act, and you have that massive investment into the US, and projects in the US are now advancing faster than projects in the UK were 12 months ago.
Yes.
The US is stealing a march on the UK, and the UK is not a manufacturer at scale capable of this global challenge. So the UK really has to look outside of the UK for its supply chain. But the supply chain is now also looking at the US, because within the Inflation Reduction Act, there are benefits, tax benefits, to manufacturing in the US. So the focus now is really, really shifted across the Atlantic. And that is making the challenge in the UK even more. So to answer your question, you may be better looking at buying electricity rather than generating electricity.
How do the panel view the solutions for developing skills and an available workforce across net zero tech?
Transferable skills is going to become really, really important. There are a couple of reports out there right now that are factually demonstrating that resources for net zero and net zero technology, we're going to be coming to a crunch around 2026. That there hasn't been enough development and investment into the skills required. And really now, one thing we're really looking at is transferable skills across all industries, and how do we bring those people into the business, understanding that we've got to take them on a journey of learning. And that is starting to pay dividends, but you've got to do that now.
What does a sustainable and secure net zero energy system look like for the UK? And I would add, do we know?
If you're looking for the end game, then the answer has to be nuclear, and most probably nuclear fusion. And the work that the UK government and the investment that the UK government are putting into the fusion program is phenomenal.
Yeah.
They've just announced the site at West Burton. They're working hard to get that, from the work that's being done at Culham.
Yes.
And the momentum around fusion right now, given some of the breakthroughs and some of the private companies that are coming through, I think when you actually look at the end game, the size of those plants and the amount of generation they can put on the grid that is secure and sustainable is massive.
Yeah. The supply chain for cabling is a key risk. Other countries are paying twice as much and getting cable fast. Should the UK consider nationalising key supply chains?
It's not just cabling. If you're a project developer right now and you're looking at the supply chain and you're looking at the price of copper and you're looking at transformers, you've got a 42-month wait. Yeah, a grid transformer right now is 42 months, and that number is going out. That is a big problem. Comes back to the grid point as well, that you can't put more power on the grid. So you've got to remove these restrictions. So power in the UK, transformers, cabling, it was the mainstay of manufacturing in the UK. We need to do something.
Climate change means a changing climate, and that we often imagine the kind of a world in the future that looks like the one today for our modelling. I think that's always quite an interesting question. There's also a comment here that the thing that slows us down is other aspects of governance, like planning and things like that, right?
Policy and government putting policy in place for net zero, again, comes back to skills. And the amount of people that they now need to drive forward those policies and to put new policy in place to actually unlock the net zero economy of the country is huge, and the people just simply aren't there. Yeah, and that is a real challenge, and I really have a lot of sympathy. The way we work closely with government, and you see and almost feel how pushed they are to get the policy in place. The people are just not there, and that is a real problem. Because the people want to come and work for the innovation companies. They want to come and work where the sexy work is. Yeah, the engineers, they don't want to be in government. Yeah, they see where right now, being perfectly honest, net zero. There's a lot of money to be earned by an individual working in an innovation company. Yeah, there's not a lot of money working in government, working on policy, and there is a complete disconnect, and that needs to be addressed, because if that is not addressed, there won't be a policy.